Aloha beloveds, this is Cristina Huntley of CreatorConsciousness.us, and in this video I'm sharing with you 3 immediate steps in order to care for yourself in the aftermath of a traumatic event. Now, a traumatic event is a rupture or overwhelming experience that violates the laws and rules of what we thought was normal, healthy, or loving. And so the rules I'm going to share with you today, I share from deep within my heart, having earned and learned this information through my own life experiences. When I was in my 20s, I worked in refugee camps in sub-Saharan Africa, and I had the experience of witnessing some of the worst and some of the best of humanity all in one very small place. Later on, I worked with survivors of political persecution, people who had survived being tortured multiple times at the hands of their governments, and also survived and thrived out of a near-death experience myself. So I share all those things with you because everything I'm sharing in this video comes from a tried, tested, and true kind of place. And of course, it's important that you do what works for you, but here are some things to get started. Now, a traumatic event overwhelms what we thought could happen to us. It overwhelms what we thought was normal. And so in the face of that, when we come out of it, we often can have the experience of being completely disenchanted with reality because our soul and our awareness is now grappling with this huge metaphysical question of how to make sense of the entire universe if what we thought was true could be broken or ruptured or violated in any kind of way. And so there's this huge renegotiation that happens of our metaphysics, of what we think is possible. And so that can easily lead us to slide down a slope of not taking care of ourselves and into depression or desperation. And really that can aggravate the process. And so the number one absolute most important thing I encourage you to do if you are navigating your way back to wholeness is to put in place a solid self-care routine for yourself. In the midst of everything that you've experienced, it's absolutely critical that you affirm with your actions every single day, all day long, that you love yourself, that you care for yourself, that you are going to nurture yourself, that you are going to keep yourself well and whole and healthy no matter what. And so whatever that means to you, I invite you to consider that and to create a routine. That might include going to a gym, might include going to a yoga studio or a meditation class. It might include making sure you get to bed by a certain time, definitely before midnight if possible. It might include making sure you drink enough water. Being hydrated helps the emotional body to calm down. Getting into nature, making sure you see friends, and not pushing yourself in any way. When you do these things, what happens is you signal to your body, your beautiful, beautiful body, your physical body, your emotional body, and your nervous system that there is constancy and there is stability and there is routine. And so what happens is even while spiritually and in our hearts we might be navigating these huge metaphysical questions, when we put that self-care routine in place, it allows our bodies, our human nature, and our nervous system to begin to relax and to calm and settle. And when it does that, we are much more able to be available for those huge questions that we're trying to find answers to within our own being. So I really encourage you to do that. I remember after my near-death experience, I returned to Canada, which is where I was living at the time, and I was offered a great job. And I remember getting a ride one day with one of my colleagues. And as we drove through the city, she pointed out parts of her life. She said, oh, that's where I go to yoga, and that's where I go to the gym 3 times a week, and that's where I pick my kids up from school, and that's where I go swimming, and I go and I watch movies with my husband at this particular movie theater. And I remember just sitting there and I nearly burst into tears in the car because all of a sudden my heart and my spirit went, normal. I recognize normal. I can recognize what healthy looks like. I can recognize what everyday wellness looks like. And so just putting that in place for yourself will go a long ways to empowering the rest of your healing journey. Now, second of all, when we experience something that's overwhelming and causes us to re-examine our metaphysics and our understanding of life and the universe, it's often the case that we have difficulty accessing peace and calm and connection within ourselves. There's turbulence on the inner planes. And so instead of trying to force yourself to sit and practice and get somewhere, in the very beginning, of course, I always recommend spiritual practice, but in the beginning, I really invite you to support yourself by finding sacred spaces that will hold the space for you. It's very difficult to hold space for yourself when you're navigating that much overwhelming experience. So tune in. Is there a mosque or a synagogue or a temple of any kind or a church that's open near you? You don't necessarily have to go for a service. You can just go be in the space, and you can even communicate that to someone there if you need to make sure that you have your space. Just somewhere where you can be. It could be a Zen meditation garden. It could be a hidden, beautiful green nook near where you live, a yoga studio, you name it. But the idea is to go somewhere where someone is holding a container of sacred space. Someone is holding the boundaries. Someone is holding the rules. Someone is holding the field. And in that field, you can begin to be re-resourced. You can connect yourself back to source because more of you will be available. You'll be able to relax into that space that other beautiful beings are holding in spirit. So the third thing is, I know through my experience that trauma has this uncanny ability to bring us to what I call the limit of our power. The limit of our power, as I understand it, or as I would describe it, is that place where you have exhausted everything you knew. You have tried all your solutions, you have applied every tool you had, and whatever was in your toolbox or whatever was in your capacity for understanding hasn't yet cracked open that nut of the gift you've been given. And so the best way to navigate meeting that limit, that edge of your awareness, and I'm not going to beat around the bush on this one, it's to get on your knees and pray, literally or figuratively. When I went through everything that I navigated, I was agnostic. I didn't have what I would call a deep connection to spirit or God or whatever word works for you and resonates with your soul. And of course, by all of that, I mean your innermost being. I didn't have that connection, didn't have that framework. I was agnostic, and I didn't even know who I was talking to or what I was praying for. I just knew that I had hit some kind of wall inside myself, and I couldn't not go through it because it was too painful to live the way I was living. And so I tried everything I could to bust through that wall, and I couldn't. And so in the end, in my heart and soul and in the physical, I just got on my knees and I said, whoever you are, whatever you are, if you are listening, please help me. Please show me, please lead me, please guide me. I don't know the way. And the point is, you might have a lexicon, you might have a spiritual grammar, you might have words, you might have a heart of devotion, you might already have a connection, and that's beautiful. And I encourage you to strengthen it. But even if you don't have that, I invite you to claim that holy, holy moment of I don't know, and I'm stuck, I don't know. Just claim it because it's like treasure. Claim it and sit with it and say, I don't know. Please show me. I'm open. I'm open to more love and more guidance and more healing than I could ever have imagined. Please show me the way. So with these three tools, putting in place a self-care routine, finding sacred spaces, and opening ourselves to the expanse of spirit and love that's wanting to assist us, I hope that you feel supported in your journey, and I love and adore and honor and cherish your journey, and I'm so grateful for your willingness to navigate this human experience, because I know that on the other side of it is an incredible shining version of you that is more expanded and more whole and more healthy than you have ever been before in your entire life. And that is the vision that I hold for you in my heart. Thank you. Aloha. Namaste.